Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. Inside of today's video, as you can tell by the title and also the thumbnail, I'm not joking whatsoever here. I think Mr. P is actually really OP in this meta. Definitely a top 5 brawler. We'll be breaking down my reasoning on it. And trust me, I was one of the people that were just so defensive about it. I was going to make a video saying how overrated he is. But after playing in Power League a lot, after watching a lot of different streamers play with Mr. P in Power League, I think he's definitely one of the better brawlers within this current meta. So firstly, we're going to be breaking down his build then, and then of course jumping into other things like the reasoning why the meta's kind of shifted around him and whatever else. But anyways, his best build then. So I think it's quite clear what the best build is for him. Revolving Door is going to allow you some extra HP onto your porters and of course give him a little bit of extra damage. It's mainly the extra HP we're kind of looking for to of course waste the enemy's ammo. And then with gadgets, both of them can actually be pretty good. Server Spell is overall the better one. Normally you want to wait until your porter is pretty weak and then you can pop your gadget, give the porter the extra life back and give it a bit of extra damage. And then this one can actually be pretty good against those sharpshooters, but I like to use it for example against throwers or like mortis, where it's going to be really annoying for them. They're going to have to waste an ammo on that porter, and especially it can help build up that super. And then also going into the gears, and he's actually really good with every gear. I think the pet gear is terrible for him. You're not going to get any value out of it because it says pet power increase, but it's only extra damage, so that's not too good with him. And then for me, I think his best build has to be with the damage and also the shield gear. We can use the vision on some grassier maps like Crystal Arcade for example, and then you can even get away with health. But the main reason why he's so strong is because of this exact build. Before we get into today's video, just want to give a huge shout out to freecash.com for sponsoring today's video. Freecash.com helps you earn money for free by completing a bunch of tasks within the app. So if there's a skin that you really wanted, like the new Zeus Brock skin, you can actually earn that skin for free by using the Freecash app. The great thing about Freecash as well, it takes the average user around 17 minutes to get their first cash out, and they also earn around $11 every single day. Freecash has over 35,000 ratings on Trustpilot with an overall 4.6 star rating. Goat123 has actually earned $350 just from offers alone this month. There's multiple ways as well you can earn cash on the app, whether that's through surveys or whether that's through testing the app itself, which is my personal favorite, and also through the featured offers tab, which will be the most completed apps for that day and also the highest earn. You can either go for a more complex offer like the Coin Master one, which will earn you $120. All you need to do is get towards the end of these villages, which might take you a little while, but of course it'll be worth it for that big reward. Or you can go for a much simpler offer like this Scrabble Go one, which all you need to do is get to level 15. I've already made $21 on free cash because of how easy and simple it is to follow, and also the cash out system is really simple. There's a lot of different ways you can actually cash out the money, but me personally, I always use PayPal. You can sign up to freecash.com now by using the link in the description or using my code. And thank you again to Freecash for sponsoring today's video. Jumping into the first game then, so we've got a lot of reasonings as to why I think that Mr. P is actually one of the best brawlers inside of the game right now. So for me, straight away, the first two reasons is to do with him kind of creeping up in the meta. You can see that recently he did receive a HP buff. I didn't think that really would have done too much to him, but I think in turn with also his attack damage buff, which he received back in December, I think it definitely really helped him out. So 2 buffs within the last 6 months. Of course, his attack went from 1080 to 1140, sorry. And then his HP received a massive buff. It went from all the way from 4,500 to 5,100, so a 600 HP buff. So of course buffs are going to help him in the meta overall. And then we had some changes recently, which I think is the main reason why he's kind of gone down in the rankings for me, gone up in the rankings for me, sorry. So you had a lot of meta brawlers, specifically Max for me has had the biggest change in the meta. A brawler like Max is going to shift the meta a lot, and it's allowed Mr. P to thrive a lot more. So that's going to be the biggest one. You also had some other HP nerfs recently, kind of to like Janet. You had a HP nerf to Max, to Penny, to even brawlers like Ash, for example, Shelly. There's just been a lot of HP nerfs. So Mr. P is going to shine in that category because, of course, the squishier the brawler, the better he can just run at them and just take them down. So anyways, that's going to be the first game. Let's hop into the next one. All right, guys, so jumping into the next game. And so again, I think the main reason why Mr. P is so strong is because of this combination with the shield gear and also that HP buff. He nearly has 6,000 HP. That is just absolutely insane. A good reason as well is because of how versatile he is. It can be used on pretty much every single map. He's probably actually worse on maps with a lot less walls, but still, that's where his biggest counter picks that like he can face off against. For example, like Shooting Star. I went him on Shooting Star on my stream yesterday. He's a good counter to like Tick, for example, or Piper, or just any single shot brawler. So he can work in both ways. Also, as well, I just feel like okay, looks like we're probably going to end up finishing this game anyway. So another quick, actually no, we're not going to score that. Unfortunately, my teammate's going to mess that up. Anyways, like I said, single shot brawlers are going to be his best bet in terms of value. And the thing about the meta, how it's kind of evolved, single shot brawlers have become a lot stronger. So if you think back to, of course, the max nerf again, it's just so important. You guys might not value max as much as I do and the rest of the pros do, but max really does shift the meta. I know that from my previous experience with competitive and just overall from Brawl Stars meta. Max shifts it a lot. So with a lot less max in the meta, it's made max, well, the brawlers that max countered better, if you get what I mean. So, you know, for example, I'll just put it out in plain text for you guys. So literally, say for example, you want to go Piper. Well, you can't go Piper in previous metas because max will just completely destroy you, like literally destroy you with supers. But now max, there's a lot less max. Now there's a lot more Piper, and that's where Mr.P comes into play, basically. It's weird how the meta kind of shifts, but that's just how he's kind of arose in that way. But that's going to be the next game. Let's hop into another one. All right, guys, jumping into the next game then. So even with like a lot of Mortis on Brawl, I've not really had the biggest problem with him right now. The good thing as well against tanks, like of course they can counter him, but they're just gonna feed him super. And then of course, normally, especially in Power League, there's not like 3 tanks running at you. That's probably the only way you can really stop a Mr.P. But of course, like Power League, even if you face off against tanks, they're going to feed you super, and then your porters are going to do big work. Even against tanks, it's going to remove their ammo. It's going to annoy the other kind of brawlers on the map. That's why I'm not too scared of tanks really in this meta. I think really the only brawler I'm kind of scared of facing off against when I'm Mr.P is actually brawlers like Cole, for example, because he can't interrupt their super. And the thing about Cole as well, you can just be insanely aggressive because of course you've got that gadget. So as well, like as I mentioned, tanks just aren't as scary in this meta because you think of the best brawlers in the game right now, you know, Ems is pretty much up there. You know, Tara recently received a buff. You've got Shelly, who's at the top of the meta. So I'm not really scared of tanks right now. It's not like in draft you can just early pick a tank straight away, because literally like a Shelly, just a single Shelly or a single Otis will literally make your life miserable. I mean, that was a good play from them guys. So yeah, you can't really pick tanks early in the draft. So that's why as well people are saying, oh well, you can't really pick Mr.P early in the draft, right? But I think you can. You can actually pick Mr.P early in the draft, because the thing is, again, is that you don't really pick like tank counters early in the draft kind of format anymore, just because, like say for example, if you first pick an Otis like you used to do back in previous metas, then the enemy team could just go 3 brawlers that are good into Otis, and then Otis is terrible. So normally you see tank counters as like a more later pick, if you get what I mean. So, you know, the more control brawlers are often picked quite early on in a draft, and that's where Mr.P comes in. So maybe he's not completely like a first pick option, but he's always towards the beginning of the draft for me, especially just on every single map. So we'll talk about his best maps in a few seconds as well. So big thing as well, which backs up my point, is just not me, trust me. I've had to be convinced by people like Bobby, for example, but literally the top pros in the game right now are all saying how strong Mr.P is and how good he is into everything. Like, he's not going to be a brawler that he's just going to run into everyone and completely destroy. He's going to be that slow chip brawler, which is just going to be really annoying for everyone. So that's going to be another game. Let's hop into the next one. Okay, so jumping into the final game then, discussing how good he is in certain game modes and which I think are best and worst for him. So straight away, I think his best game modes are going to be Gem Grab and Bounty overall. Those, of course, have always been his pretty decent game modes. You know, Bounty's going to be pretty good because basically how the meta is, you know, Mr.P is one of the best counters and he's just good pretty much everywhere. And then Gem Grab, he's actually really good because you can actually throw him as a mid or a lane. Normally, he's used as a lane, but you could quite easily use him as a mid in this meta. And then, of course, he's going to be pretty decent across the board right now. I think his weakest game mode is actually going to be Knockout, just because it takes him a little while to get his super. I just believe he's not really the best fit for that game mode, but he can still be used quite often right there as well. So it's going to be his best game modes, and then we'll go through his maps pretty quickly as we go through the games right here. So, you know, Shooting Star, I wouldn't really say his complete best game mode, because I think the better players can dodge his main attack at long range with ease. That was always my problem with Mr. P. But I think maybe as like a later pick, he can be pretty solid. You know, for example, I went like in Mr. P into like a Tick and a Piper, I believe, or something like that. Of course, it can be pretty good in that sense. You can see right here how annoying I am against Grey, by the way. And then also, of course, Dry Season and Lake Cake are going to be his better maps. Backyard Bowl I've seen being played. Field Goal, he can be really solid because, of course, down the lanes as well. He can act as kind of a thrower hybrid. Hopefully we can survive right here. Hopefully, nice, we're able to dodge that one. And then also, you know, everywhere on Gem Grab, he's pretty good. Heist, he's not really the best in. You also have Hot Zone, which he's used pretty much all the time in parallel plays. For example, he's like the best option there. Where Knockout, he can be used, but other brawlers are better. But I hope I explain this in detail. I wrote a lot of notes on this one. I looked at a lot of different people's opinions as well. I think in EU, a lot of people aren't really respecting the Mr. P pick, but I think right now, I think the meta just completely fits him. I think he's one of the best for sure. So that's going to be it for today's video, guys. Hope you enjoyed this one. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.